Pretty good.
Yes, they
I think it's worth it. We got the business. We got the chair. It got a favor to the last year.
The beard looks stupid.
Now the chair has been selected. I will turn this meeting over to the chair. That's okay with you? Yeah.
You all right?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name's Alan Cook, is the county manager doing it today because we're doing a little housekeeping on getting our chair selected and a few items of business. So I hope everyone's having a good evening, and I'd like for you to silence your devices if you have any. And as we get started here, I'd like to call on our new commissioner, Mr. Clayton Roberts, to lead us in our invocation.
Thank you. Dear most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. Lord, I pray, Lord, you give us clear minds, clear thoughts to make the best decisions for the county as a whole. Lord, I thank you, Lord, for giving us this opportunity. Lord, I just pray, Lord, you continue to be with each and every one throughout our county. Keep us safe, lead, guide, and direct us. Always favors us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Mr. Commissioner Harding, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, make yourself aware of the ethics and awareness and conflict of interest. If anyone has any of those that apply to them, please let it be known. I'm hearing none. We will move forward. Do we have any additions or changes to the agenda?
Manager, I would like to move that we remove item 12I, which is currently still approval, and replace it with surplus of small business.
I hear a move that we amend item 12I and move it to be replaced by surplus of law enforcement center equipment. Anybody got any discussion on that? Do I hear a second? All in favor, sign aye. Motion passes. Do I have any other agenda items need to be rearranged? Okay, having none, do I have a move that we adopt the agenda? So moved. Second. All in favor? Motion passes. All right, this is coming towards the end of my time here. So our first item of business here is Board of Organization and appointments. And first thing we need to do is elect a chairman. So I'm going to open the meeting to have some discussion on that. Anyone want to put forth a nomination for commission chair?
Mr. County Manager, at this point in time, I would like to make the recommendation with Mr. Steve Pittman as chairman for the County Board of Commissioners.
All right, I hear a move and second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? All motion carries. At this point, I will turn this meeting over to our commission chair, Steve Pittman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate, it's an honor and a privilege to be elected as chair of this board. I think we got a great board. I think we work really good together, and I know I can do a lot better job, and I appreciate you giving me a second year to try to improve on myself. So, thank you, guys. Next on the agenda tonight's number 8B, we've got the election of the vice chair. Do we have a nomination for the vice chair this evening?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recommend Ms. Harley Masters, vice chair of the County Board of Commissioners.
Second. All in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mrs. Masters. Item number C is appointment of the county manager. Do we have a motion this evening on county manager?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend, Mr. Alan Cook as appointment to the, position of county manager.
Motion for, Alan Cook, do I have a second? Second. All in favor, vote for the usual sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Cook. Next one we have on here is the appointment to the clerk to the board. We have a motion for clerk to the board. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, vote for the usual sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Craig. Next, we have an appointment of a finance officer. Do I have a motion for the finance officer to see?
Make a motion that we want to make this person.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, vote for the usual sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Mapes. Next item on the list is 8F, appointment of the county attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we appoint Mr. Ford Agers as the county attorney.
Do I have a second? Second. All those, usual sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Eggers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next item on the list this evening is board appointments. And I'm going to read these off the list here, and if there's any objections, we'll talk about that. Mr. Clayton Roberts will be taking on the Northwest Housing Authority Board, peer review, and the Bakersville Library Board. Jeff Harding, Mitchell County Chamber of Commerce, Toe River Health District, Mitchell County Fire Association, CCPT, the Community Child Protection Team, and the EDC Economic Development Foundation. Steve Pittman will be taking on First Line Main Street, the Mayland Community College Board of Trustees, Region D Executive Committee, and the Mitchell County Development Foundation. Harley Masters, E911 Advisory Committee, Mitchell County Fire Association, Mitchell County Council of Aging, Mitchell County Tourism Development Authority, and High Country RPO Transportation Authority. Commissioner Brandon Pittman will be taking on Parks and Rec Advisory Board, Value Health Commissioners Board, CCPT, the Community Child Protection Team, and the JCPC. Any discussion or anything on these appointments tonight, or any reason they couldn't meet the commitments for these boards? Hearing none, do I have a motion that we make these appointments?
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor, please use the sign. Motion carries. Next item on the list tonight is the approval of the minutes from November 7th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? All in favor, vote by using the sign. Motion carries. Boy, if only the rest of this meeting gets this fast, we're not there. I'm excited, but usually don't work that quickly. Next item on the agenda tonight is the tax collector's report. Good evening.
Good evening. I'll go and take your pictures now.
Yes, very good.
The totals I have for you tonight on the collections activity report for November is $3,045,999.79. 6 more to go.
Got impressive, dude. I didn't think of that much.
We're getting there. We're at 50.76%. November 30th.
What was that percentage?
50.76, almost 51%. I looked today, we're 52.63, so we gained percent.
Is that pretty consistent with previous years?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess January, the first January, March.
And we're still getting our mortgages, the escrows.
Okay.
And those were all pretty to me. major food plants. And on to the foreclosures. We have one that's in, there's an execution that's in, signed at the clerk of court office. That I received a call from an attorney. The execution, I don't think it's gonna happen, but it will be paid off before January. And that's around $8,200 on that one. And the state attorney paid one off, so we're collecting. There's very active, we've got pending sales, active contracts. Waiting on those to close. We've got 9 judgments in place right now. And 2 pending files, 2 more judgments. The total dollar amount of all of this, that I was just saying, is $62,000. So
That's great.
we'll continue to go forward. But most any of the executions gonna be mid-January, February, we're already getting them lined up with the foreclosure attorney.
I love it. It's good there.
But they don't go there, that's what,
That's right.
yeah, that's our goal,
We got no desire to
exactly. No.
do, expect everybody to do their part. Next item we got on the agenda this evening is our employee of the month. You gotta come up here, you can't just step back, right? Stand right there, let me read this out real quick. Thank you, David, for coming. Mitchell County Board of Commissioners would like to recognize our November employee of the month, Mrs. Haley Putnam. Haley Putnam works for the Mitchell County Senior Citizen Center. Loves her job and it shows. She goes above and beyond to make the clients at the center feel welcome and meet their every need. Although Haley has had a trying year, it's never interfered with her job performance. She always keeps a positive attitude, encourages clients, and is always willing to assist with any project that the senior center undertakes. Not only does she exceed at her job, the daily job tasks, she's eager to help with projects outside her job duties. She recently delivered meals on Thanksgiving morning to homebound clients and worked on Saturday to help with the center's annual fundraiser. She provides food for one client without a family and often provides prizes and small gifts to individuals that participate in her activities. The Board of Commissioners are proud to recognize Haley Putnam as the November Employee of the Month, for she's always motivated to exhibit a positive attitude and make a difference at the Mitchell County Senior Center. I'd say what you do is, that's a job that, you know, I know it's probably more rewarding for you than it is for them, but I know you probably, I know you love it. So, and I don't hear nothing but good things coming out of that senior center. So thank you for it. I know there's some good people and I know they appreciate you. So we give you this plaque here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Good job. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate it. So,
Thank you, guys. I
thank
really
you,
appreciate
thank you
it.
guys. Appreciate it. So you wanted to go on
Discussion.
Okay.
It's on the.
No,
My
second.
presentation, but it was an item set.
Next item we've got is the Value Health Quarterly Report, and I think our presenter is out tonight. I think had a conflict, so we'll move that one to January. Next one is the race car from Bryant Reed. Let's see, Stephanie gonna present on the race car.
I guess so. Thought Brian was gonna be here, but I just seen on ES Aware that they had a.
No problem.
We'll let you guys pass this around and share them out. The rest part of the presentation. So, race cars is the randomized cluster evaluation of cardiac arrest system. So what this does is puts us in a program to improve cardiac arrest outcomes. And Mitchell County is an intervention county, so what we do is we participate in the grant program with the 7-year cycle. We meet milestones and we get money for that we have to put back into the community to improve those outcomes. Our biggest push, and with Dr. K, it's amazing the difference in the way things are happening. That he wants to see as many citizens in this county that we can train to do CPR trained as quick as possible. So starting with you guys, anybody that's not trained, we have a system where we can make that happen. So presenting this to you, I'm gonna give you some numbers. In the period from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, we dispatched 38 cardiac arrests. 4 of those were transported. 34 of them went to the funeral home from the residents. The period from July 1st, 2022 to November 30th, 2022, we've had 23 cardiac arrests. Most recently, we have 4 of those in 1 week. One of those was a transport and 22 of them went directly to the funeral home. So we definitely need to do some improving on what we're doing to take care of our citizens. And we're hoping that with this program, we can put some AEDs in places where we don't have them. We look at the response time to areas like Poplar Creek, that whole community, to Glen Eyre, places in Beulah Dean. We need to get some things put out there for the citizens, but also we need to get people trained in doing that CPR. So I have Jimmy English on staff who is doing a great job with the school system. I know that he is very embedded in the schools, teaching students, teachers, all the faculty CPR. So we're going to start reaching out to all of our organizations that we can in the county, and talk to them about what we're trying to do and what we have to offer. We also have partnered with a lady that is going to do interpreting for us, and we're going to be able to go to the Spanish community and start working with them and doing CPR training also in the Spanish community, so we don't have anybody left out in the community. Well, there you go. So again, there's a money stream tied to it, and sitting down with Dr. K is proving to be very forward thinking. And he wants AEDs out everywhere we can get them, and he wants to go as low in the school system with the students as we can possibly go and get the students off.
What's that recommended age level for students? As far as how low you teach them?
I think 12, down to 12, they can be certified by the American Heart. And I think it would probably be a parental thing on whether they think the child is okay. Most kids are probably gonna be more okay with it than the adults. And all we do is hands-on CPR. We don't do ventilations unless it meets certain criteria with like drownings or lightning strikes. Otherwise, it's just hand and chest CPR. Getting that training done, really promoting people to call 911, not to question what's going on, because we would 100 times rather get somebody there and be able to cancel them because everything's okay than have that extra couple minutes and not have that reaction. So, promoting 911 and people to call it when they think something's wrong is okay.
How's it going?
And he probably has numbers on what they've transported and done.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry about that. Oh, all right. So looking at some numbers and the significance of this, the national, well, let's just look at so our data started, as y'all know, July 1st of 2021. In that first year, we had 16 resuscitated attempts inside the county. And as I'm sure Stephanie's already mentioned, that cardiac arrest, a lot of us, if we hear cardiac arrest, we think they passed and all, but you can survive cardiac arrest. It is survivable. Your odds aren't the best, but it is survivable. The national standard a few years ago, not national standard, but the national average for surviving cardiac arrest was honestly somewhere between 3 and 6% or less, and actually having a good quality of life. As it can be even lower. With recent updates and standards, and different approaches reviewing numbers, the national standard or national average right now is somewhere closer to 10%. So we're doing a lot better. However, one of the key pieces to that is rapid intervention and quick response. Mitchell County, we don't have the straightest 4-lane roads going to every corner. So our response times are a big hindrance. And I know we have spoke before about the future expansions, plans, as calling increases in that, we can get into that another time. But there's cardiac arrest going on in the upper limits of the county, which normally are Beulah, Bradshaw, Upper Fort Mountain area. Those are distance folks, and it can take us over 30 minutes to respond. And once you get over a 10-minute response time, your chance of survival drops 66%. So that is very significant. So there's a lot of room for improvement in the county. The first year numbers out of those 16%, survivability on that was nothing. And that's with quadrupling the recommended training. So when it takes us forever to get there, or maybe the patient was down for a prolonged time already, whether we may have already talked about regular checkups on your neighbors, getting those things, when it's too late in the game, doesn't matter how good you are, you're not catching up when you get that far behind. I will say, since we've implemented this program since July 1st to now, the resuscitative effort that we've made, but I think we're around between 6 and 8 for the second half of this year already, which shows us a little bit up from last year, which reflects our increase in call volume. But having said that, we've also, it's either, I think we're about a 30 to 40% ROS rate, which means we got pulses back on 30 to 40% of them since reviewing protocols, pushing for more response, first responders getting there. We've got Lucas on all the trucks now, so it frees our hands up to do more ALS intervention, that we can do mechanical CPR, which is the Lucas device. So the implementations in just the first months on our end, granted, that's not a significant population for a research study. I get that. I'm a numbers nerd guy. Y'all know that by now. But that's still better. It's an improvement. We're heading in the right way with this program. We've got to get that involvement, the public education, and honestly just change the culture. You can make a difference. People can survive cardiac arrest, and we can do that here. You just think about if we boost that number up, and from 0 out of 16 going up to, if we keep these numbers up, then you're looking about 6 of those surviving. And that's 6 families that get that much more time with their loved ones, which is priceless. Think about it from that standpoint.
So what do you think is a realistic, attainable goal of number of citizens you would like to see certified next year?
Next year in this county, I think 10% is our goal. So what is that? 1,500, 1,600? And we've already got buy-in from my team and Stephanie's team at dispatch to go out and help support and teach. And this may have been mentioned before my tardiness, but the education that is recommended through Duke University and the program coordinator is non-credentialing. So it's not like you sit through an AHA card and people got to pay $75, which is ridiculous, but it's a different topic. To get a car on how to do it, it's us, we're going to show you how to do CPR. I mean, my 10-year-old daughter can do it, and she's been able to do it for years. Okay, it doesn't take much.
It'll be a lot of FaceTime and working with people who are hosting events, having, festivals and things. I think we can put a booth up, so managing out. You know, here's how you do CPR, let's do it a couple minutes, and that way, at least they have the basics of what they need to do. And promoting that, teaching people that we're just doing hands on the chest. That we don't have to worry about those ventilations, because that's not the important thing right now. We're gonna get hands on the chest and get that pumping going.
Yeah.
We've changed the way we dispatch cardiac arrest in the county, where it used to, we dispatch an ambulance and the closest first responder group, we start with 2 first responder groups along with an ambulance and any certified people in the area. So we're also mapping out where we currently have AEDs. So if we have a cardiac arrest close to where one's at, we can get a hold of somebody and get one to them. So we'll be working with Keegan, with GIS and get us a layer in the maps put there so we can see it on the maps when we have that call.
And you said the grant will cover it.
The grant, the money that comes in from the milestones that we meet, we have to put back into the community. So a good way to do that is put some AEDs out there, put some AEDs with the deputies, because they have been wonderful to go and help out and be the first ones there and do what they need to do. So getting those out there and getting that education and meeting with groups, churches, whoever. And making sure all of you guys get that hands on the chest.
I used to be certified about 30 years ago. I don't know. It's changed a lot since my days is a lot going up. Is it still 5 and 2? Like, it's all it is. See, I'd kill somebody.
Yeah, but 5 and 2 is better than none and none.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, you have to look at it sort of positive. If you're doing something, it's better than nothing. We do a lot of training. If you think about 911, we're non-visual. So when we have somebody call and they have a cardiac arrest, they're not going to conveniently lay down in the floor for them before their heart stops. So we have to know how to get people out of wherever they're at. So we do lifting training with EMS. So my guys know when they get that 911 call, somebody says, hey, they're in a chair and I don't know how to get them out. They've had to lift someone to move them so they can kind of give them some. So we're doing some out of the box thinking to try to educate our people, and then get the citizens involved. And I think that will help us tremendously, and we'll see some positive out of this.
Sign up. I'll get retrained. Sounds like I do.
Very question. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next on the agenda this evening is my future MC. And Congress. Thank you guys for coming. Tracy and I met about a month ago on a Zoom meeting, and I was excited about what you guys do. So I wanted our board to hear all of it, and I appreciate you guys working this in your schedule.
We appreciate you letting us come and present you today. My name is Tracy Mathis. I was the Regional Impact Manager for My Future NC. I was originally, for the last year and a half, serving both the Northwest and Western regions. So think about the 18 counties plus that I was serving. And then we just onboarded Dr. Kim Kate. And so she is now solely in charge of the Northwest Prosperity Zone and talking about the work of My Future NC. So excited for her to be here. This is our first presentation together. So thank you for your grace as we navigate the conversation that we're going to have today. I just want to talk to you a little bit about what My Future NC is. Got a packet with a whole bunch of information, which may look a little overwhelming, and I'm excited because that means there's a lot to learn. Our goal today is just to leave you equipped and empowered with some information that will help you make decisions for your community. We love this conversation around training for CPR. That's considered a foundational credential, which can hopefully then lead into an essential credential. Back in 2019, there was a report, you may have heard of it, it was called the Leaky Pipeline. And the Leaky Pipeline report indicated that out of every 100 ninth grade students, only 28 students would go on to post-secondary attainment and complete that within 6 years. We also noted in 2019 that by 2030, 67% of the workforce across North Carolina would have to have workers that have a post-secondary credential or a degree coming into 2030 to meet the demand. And right now in North Carolina, we're only at 49% as we think about that. So our work is a nonprofit work housed out of High School 64 with the goal of 2 million North Carolinians between ages 25 to 44 with a post-secondary degree that's really geared towards what's of high demand, high growth in each of our counties in North Carolina, or a degree, right? So how does that be? I'll use what we talked about tonight with CPR. You start with CPR training. That leads to a CNA license for some. That CNA license is what we would call an industry valued credential. That leads to a family sustaining wage. Then that CNA, whether they're 22 or 32 or 52, they decide to go on to become a certified nurse. They again now have a family sustaining wage and receive that degree. So thinking about in North Carolina, 2 million specifically, what does that look like in Mitchell County? That number is about 299 individuals in Mitchell County that we would like to support and help in Mitchell County, drive awareness and action for how can we increase post-secondary enrollment and attainment in Mitchell County. So let's start with the first document that you see is like, oh my gosh, what is this? Well, this is our brand new, just released county attainment profile. We have a North Carolina profile. We also have a county attainment profile, one for every county in North Carolina. This is on our website, so you can go on and check out all of your neighbors to see what's happening around North Carolina. And on this, we list a lot of different information. I want to just point out on the first page, we also indicate top opportunities for growth. And across North Carolina, we have identified 13 opportunities for growth. So in Mitchell County, when looking at the numbers that we received through DPI, through e-commerce, through the Chamber of Commerce, all of those numbers that we received, 3 areas of growth are NC pre-K enrollment, high school graduation, and adult learners. And so I just want to give you a second to look at that on the first page. You can also look down. We have 4 areas that we measure: academic readiness, college and career access, and then on the back page, post-secondary completion and labor market alignment. And so this document here just gives you a quick, we hope, a good visual representation of what it looks like based on the data across North Carolina and Mitchell County. Now, I want to say that if there is something on this profile that doesn't align to the data that you have for your community, please let us know, because our goal is always accuracy. And so if there's something that's not ringing true, we really want your feedback on that. One thing that we're really proud of at my teacher and speak is that we are for everyone. So feedback is really vital to us. When we go about looking at policy and policy recommendations in the state, again, we want feedback based upon that. You'll look on the next chart is the North Carolina. And then the graph behind that is the 2021, which is spurred out of the original county attainment profiles that were released pre-pandemic. So I say that to say we've got a pre-pandemic information, post-pandemic information. I think that could be really valuable for people in the community to say, okay, where did we look pre? Where did we look post? And how can we use our resources, both capacity of people, capacity of programs, capacity of financial resources, so that we can make an impact in Mitchell County. So we had a little figure we were going to put on the screen called turn. No, it's perfectly fine, because we want to come back and do this presentation for whomever else you think might need to be a part of it. But what we would love is we'd love just to spend a second and talk to one another about these, because they're kind of overwhelming.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So if you want to take a second and just look at that.
That's a lot of information.
That's what I want you to do.
And Matt, I know you. But there's no way to go back. Do you know that? I'd be curious what our growth rate is for this code. There's no way to tell that information.
That, now this is, for Mitchell County, that growth rate,
Kind of exploded.
yeah, it's, I feel like it's changed some, and because you said this number is still pre-COVID, right? The Mitchell County, the minus 4.3%.
The darker blue one is pre-COVID, the new one that you're holding is post-COVID. Now, keep in mind, I'm sure you guys know with your data too, the census data was a little bit of a hot mess, right? Because not everybody filled out the census, so it's not as good of a tool as we'd like to use, so we pulled in some other numbers for that as well. So if you're seeing that there's a higher number than what's listed there, then I would trust the numbers that you have.
I'm just feeling, it feels like we've had a lot of folks, influx of, outsiders into Mitchell County, during the pandemic, and I feel like the 4.3 seems, it seems like we would be going up, not as 4.3, I guess, but
We're, if I may comment, we're at the certified number, we're 14,963, so we've gone up that.
okay,
But they can count me on what they're going to do that. But yeah, I think Steve's making a good point. I think the influx of a lot of our second, third home buyers, they're not living here permanently. We're not getting them counted. I've been fighting that over. Asking census and state traffic data numbers that we are seeing a lot of people in our room, but they're not being counted. That's population.
I was thinking based on just, building permits and outcomes, we just keep it here.
But unfortunately, like I said, you're not folks from Charlotte and other metro areas that are building them.
I will say that I think, and I may be wrong, but if you have the broadband, I feel like that number is kind of high. Because I know several people that don't have access to high-speed internet.
Does that figure county in like satellites?
interesting. And one quick question on the academic readiness. Mitchell County has a student to school counselor ratio of 284 to 1 versus 318 to 1 in peer counties. That's a good thing, right? I mean, the less is better, right?
Correct. We want the ratio to be as low as possible when it comes to school counselors. And I also want to point in 2019, the community had looked at FAFSA as an area for growth. As you know, FAFSA is a real bellwether, post-secondary access and completion. And so that was not on your opportunities for growth for 2022. So the work that's happening really across the Northwest and Mitchell County as well, that piece is going on. We're always going to encourage more FAFSA. Don't nobody think, oh, we've got FAFSA master. Nobody in North Carolina. So we can always increase FAFSA completions. But yeah.
Well, was at the high country meeting, I really thought the presentation was very interesting. And our board, actually, we've got 2 educators on our board. So I wanted, not to mention all the other board members, but Clayton and Brandon specifically, they're on the front lines of education in our community. So I just wanted to make sure they knew about all these things that's out there. So
in my future entities, we really focus on 3 things: monitor and report progress, which is part of our KPIs, part of our county attainment profile. We're going to dig into that in a minute. We also are about accelerating action, and that's a conversation that we would like to come back and have within Mitchell County with whomever you have identified might be key partners in that conversation around how do you accelerate action for increasing educational attainment with the goal of increasing workforce talent in Mitchell County, right? Because it's not about for other counties, it's for Mitchell County. And then the last thing we do is we also identify and advocate for policy procedures and changes. And so we know coming into 2023, 2 of the policies that we're going to be lifting up will be centered around NC careers, as well as short-term scholarships for short-term credentialing through the community colleges. So getting people trained as quickly as possible and back out into the workforce as quickly as possible.
I'm sorry, now, can you create data for, students that go on post-high school, and get some kind of credential or degree, and then return to Mitchell County?
Yeah, so that's a really good question that we're investigating. How do you track people coming back into Mitchell County? So for example, let's just say you were in Wake County and you had this number of NC State students, and clearly NC State is gonna have a much larger number of engineers coming out of NC State. Well, they don't all stay at NC State, right? A lot of them, we hope, return home. And so we're digging into how can we measure how many return back and are then employed in the county where of origin, right? Where they are from high school.
You know, I've always felt kind of as an educator that, you know, we produce some really high caliber, of students, and I've wondered if we sometimes produce those high caliber students for other communities. So, you know, that, I guess my question would be, you know, how we, that data, how can we focus on producing high caliber students as a year towards our field that it's going to come back to Mitchell County and give us a return on our investment.
Right, and that's exactly the kind of conversation we would love to help you facilitate in the community, because that is it. How do you have, it's not about the of them going to App State or Western Carolina or another school to get to the degree. How do we have them return back, and how do we build this thriving community? And are the degrees that we're sending people out match what we need in this community, right? And so there's a whole thing about alignment, misalignment, making sure that we are telling the story in a way that's true for your community. On the attainment profile, I think I gave mine away. I think it's 84%. If you look on the second page, I think it's 84%. Yeah. So if you look right here under labor market alignment, 84%, it says 84% of the degrees and credentials are aligned with the labor market, okay? But there are some misalignment. And again, that was just resonating with the CPR training. I'm a huge fan of CPR training. Also stop the wind training. Top areas of misalignment, again, are there more things that in Mitchell County can be targeted around health science, transportation, distribution, and logistics, and then business management and administration. So those would be the areas that Mitchell County would want to have that great conversation. Yeah.
There's so much, I think there's so much value in partnering with the industry and our, you know, our local community colleges. Like I'm working on trying to get where I work at Baxter to, we're partnering with McDowell Tech. We've actually got a manufacturing center of excellence in McDowell County that, you know, folks can come straight out of high school. They can go over to the community college, learn a trade, you know, how to work on robots, how to program robots, and then come immediately and be, you know, already ahead of the workforce curve. And I'm trying to implement the same thing at Mayland. I want to do that here. So, you know, not only Baxter, but all the other local industries of whatever they need. Let's get that, you know, information in there, because, you know, a lot of folks, and to their credit, that, you know, it's, I don't want to go to a 4-year school. I want to hit the ground running. I need to make some money, and you know, I want to give our citizens the best chance to get that job market, you know, and that's, you know, where I think you guys.
I appreciate you lifting that up, because again, for right now, one of your options for growth is the adult learner. And I think we all know that it is unrealistic for every individual to leave high school and go immediately into some kind of 4-year institution, right? Now they might, when they come back or return at 52 or 48, which how great is that, right? When you're past, you know, the 40s going back into school. But it's how do we create those pathways, those on and off ramps where people can, you know, have a family and then they can come back into their career. I will tell you that McDowell County has been working with MicroGRMC for a pilot initiative called Local Education Attainment Collaborative. So Dr. Merritt, who is the president of McDowell Tech, has been a part of that committee and team, and then Mark Garrett, who had been the superintendent, had been a part of that. And again, asking the exact question, not exact, but very close to questions that you're asking today, and have them digging into how can that look in McDowell County? Mitchell needs to look like Mitchell County, right? You need to be your own county. And so we want to facilitate that conversation with you for what rings true with you. Behind those profiles, I've given you a document called Setting Attainment Goals. And on the back, you can see where the attainment needs to be. Out of that 2 million, what is the part for every county in the Northwest Prosperity Zone? I think I had mentioned that Mitchell County is about 300 individuals in addition to what you're already doing. So this is a document that we would love to have conversation with your community about, thinking about who might want to be in this conversation. We would love to dig into that with you a little bit deeper. And say, gosh, by 2030, it is the 10% for CPR training, and how much more can we do? I'm going to step aside and let my colleague Kim talk to you about the next 2 documents about our key performance indicators. It's a very colorful piece of paper. And I'm excited for you to learn a little bit about that too. I have to say, I am looking forward to onboarding fully in the Northwest region, and appreciate all Tracy's doing to transition me, and thank you for the invite.
No.
I come from Caldwell County, and so I'm just down the mountain a bit. So recognize these mountain counties and what we need, Foothills, how diverse we are as a region, and sometimes how we're so unique and yet we share so many commonalities. So these key performance indicators give us some indication of what's happening in trends. And if you look at those the colored key chart up at the top, you can see as we're moving from 2020, 2019 to 2025 and 2030. The blue, that's where we're projected to be. The colored indicators 2025, and then you have a bar that shows you on that chart. And it's this one, the key performance indicator. This one. Okay. Like I said, lots of information. So one of my new jobs is to come and sit down. So as we go through this and you see information that piques your interest, I'm open to come back at any time to sit with you or Zoom, whatever you would like. Former educator myself, so really good. And that's why I feel so passionately about this work, because if education doesn't align with workforce, we leave a lot of students, a lot of adults out. And I feel good about this work that I'm getting ready to do. So on those performance indicators, I'm going to give you just a minute to digest and look at those bars. And Tracy mentioned that we have 4 areas of focus: academic readiness, the college and career access, post-secondary or certification, industry value, credential completion, and then labor market alignment. So those are the 4 areas for those key performance indicators. And I'm going to pause and do some wait time for just a minute, so you have a chance to think. And there's also, as you finish that page, there's a second page that shows you a little more about these key performance indicators. So you may want to take a look at that at the same time. Yeah. And I hear you chatting, so let me give you time to turn and talk to a partner. Feel free, and then any questions that you have, and I may have to rely some on my friend Tracy as I'm getting into the data too.
What's considered a living wage? I was looking at the labor market alignment. At the bottom, and I see that Mitchell County only 55% of 25 to 44-year-olds currently earn a living wage, and I was curious what a living wage is in Mitchell County.
Yeah, so we use the federal guideline for a family sustaining wage that's on the website for that. And I can pull up the Mike Insurance definition for family sustaining wage. It's
Is it adjusted for our community? I know
that's a good question. We typically have identified it just in general as a federal term. I'm not sure if they've done a qualifier with, so we partner with Carolina Demography. That's who primarily does the majority of our data, in addition to a lot of other things. I'm not sure that we put a qualifier on it per county.
I do know that we do look at rural and sub-region populations. But that's a great question. I'll verify that.
And I did write it down to follow up. That is a great question. What else? Anything else that strikes you? Positives?
And the numbers on your KPIs are these are for North Carolina, all across the entire state, right?
Correct. Those are not specific to Mitchell County.
So that would be some of that local work that we may want to do.
Yeah.
Those indicators that things different or things significant for Mitchell County, we can sit down and have a conversation about that. You do have a sticky note. I don't want to cut any conversation out. Anyone else? No?
So I'm just gonna read real quick to Sam, it's the standing wage. It's the percent in North Carolinians, 35 to 44. It's defined as having an earning a family income equivalent to 3% or more of the federal poverty line. And again, that's okay, 3% or more of the federal poverty line. Yeah, 3% or more. And if you go on our website, we can send you the link. It has a little more details about what all of those buckets that you see on those charts mean.
What's the federal poverty line?
It depends on the number of your household. I don't say like, you have one in your household. It's like,
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. Anything else about these key performance indicators? We can, yeah.
okay.
No. Ask questions.
I was
That's
just
what
gonna
I'm here
ask,
for.
I was just gonna ask, like, how do you guys help communities? Am I getting ahead?
You are on point.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you are on
I have a
point.
habit of, I apologize.
Please, I do as well. Well, we connect. We are a state-led organization, but we rely on local collaboration to do the work. So data rich, obviously, we have much information, small staff, there's fewer than 20 of us. That's one regional impact manager per Northwest Prosperity or per Prosperity Zone. January. But housed with many connections who are able to pull data that we may not have access to in smaller counties. So if you have a question, such as that, if you're working on a problem, you need to design a solution, then we can come and support that effort. Our board reaches across multiple sectors from higher education, community college presidents, chambers, legislatures, nonprofits, yeah. So when we work collaboratively and we want to reach all sectors. So, and here's all of those voices. So our role is to find out what you need. Here's some data, here's some information, pique your curiosity, build on work that you're already doing, make that all mailing, in the housing industry, whatever it is that your community needs, and then become a support for work. And it relies on collaboration. We have one of the products that is a self-reported site, of which is promising practices. And
Sometimes it just pops. You're good.
promising practices. So if you have an organization or a collaboration and you're doing something that brings people together toward that 2 million by 2030 goal, then we want to know about that. It might be in the eastern part of the state. There's a promising practice. It needs to be modified for Mitchell County, but if you're doing the work, we don't want to recreate or reinvent, but we want to modify, iterate, and make something that works for Mitchell County. So bringing that network across the state is a huge part of what we do. Call to action, just as it's kind of closing, and I'll be glad to answer more questions, but we want to engage the community. We want to connect partners in the work, whenever that may be. We want to utilize information and use it well. And then as we see things that are for all, and that are building North Carolina as a whole, region, local, county, and even entities within that county. We want to make sure that we're utilizing the information and advocating for policies that will support all of us. To do that work, my next key is I need to know where to go next in your county. Inside your folder, there's a purple sticky note. And if there's some idea that you would like to follow up, connection, someone that isn't in the room tonight, that you'd like to meet with me, with that group, and of course, I'll allow my colleagues with more experience as we transition, but I'd love to meet with you. There's some other data points and pieces behind the folders that the pieces we're talking about now. There's so much, so much information and so many good collaborative work. The LEAC that Tracy mentioned, there's the McDowell County. I think that's probably wrote their own pipeline. There's also one in Burke that deals with the work in Burke program. And maybe you know that.
To me, that's the biggest win that we can have in our county is to provide that avenue for our students coming out. And you know, and the folks that live here, here's an opportunity that you work here, you can go, you know, we've got a lot of industry here that you could, I want to give folks that opportunity.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
If I can just give one specific example, I'm going to talk about Burke County in particular. So they have all the information that you have in front of you as well. And so what they did is they brought together community college, the school system, the industry, and they're looking at that and they have identified that for them in Burke County, opportunity youth are going to be the area where they do their focus because you can't do everything all at one time, like kind of have to pick and choose. So opportunity youth is identified as individuals ages 16 to 24 who are disconnected from school and disconnected from workforce. So that is what they have decided is going to be their primary focus. So when you look at your data and you guys have a conversation and we can come and facilitate conversation with the community, what makes sense for Mitchell County? Of the things to work forward, is it adult learners? It might be opportunity where that's not listed as an opportunity for growth, but that may be what you want to do. We want to help you customize it, the approach and the intervention to meet your needs. We've also included in this packet some data trends that we've received from the Institute for Emerging Issues, so you can take a look at that. We also gave some definitions when we say data. What does that mean? So, little vocabulary, we'll list in there vocabulary terms. You think about my future and see. But again, we appreciate the time tonight. I know it's a lot of information. We hope that you have lots of questions, but questions in a good way, questions of how we can be a partner with you, how we can join hands and have conversation. And I'm excited that Kim is here because she's so close. I hope you are not holding it against her. She's from Caldwell County because she really is a North Carolinian and loves the Northwest region, which is I did want to point out on the promising practice, there is one Mitchell County organization that's self-reported as a promising practice, Rural Education Partners. I don't know. They are on the side on our future MC side as a Mitchell County promising practice. So look really interesting. I don't know. All I know is that they're on our site. So if you have individual information about them, that'd be a great group for me to reach out to. And that really concludes our presentation. If you have questions, my card is in the folder. Feel free to email me. Call, text works well. And remember me, I'd like to talk, and I'll be glad to. I love my trip up the mountain. Not a good idea. On all other occasions, I'd love to make a trip. Thank you for your flexibility on time. We did not get a time limit. That was dangerous.
You're very,
That was dangerous for us.
this board must be late, so it really.
Well, listen, we're with you. We can go as long as you want to go.
I've got you.
That's the first floor. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
I've got you. Yeah.
I can read it.
Yeah. We better talk.
Thank you. Email introduction. All right.
I thought you guys give us a nice little thing to hang out, so. Go to my top part there. I wrote it somewhere else, so you're good. I've already transferred. Yeah, you're good. That's, we appreciate that.
All right.
Not hit real on them, and the work force, that's an opportunity, that's a lot of people, and
I just gonna say, we just learned today that the Wyoa funding is now just increased from 25%. They can now use up to 50% of their budget to reach at-risk students in school. It was 25% in schools, 75% out of school, but now they can use up to 50%. So we're excited for how communities want to use that opportunity.
I really appreciate you guys making the time to come up here today. Glad you're able to come to us. And I will, like I say, hopefully we got you guys some more names and, look forward to working with you guys in the future. And I'll give you the free pass to, you'll have to sit through the remainder. I know you guys are excited about Winston County's business, but you're welcome to go. So, next item on the agenda this evening is public comments. I think we've got one here for Mr. Steve Rowland, for the Michigan County Chamber of Commerce direction. Hey, Steve.
Good evening. Before I get into my subject, I do have one correction for you in your your agenda and your minutes. There is no Bakersfield Library Board. It's Mitchell County Library Board, which our charge is to serve all of Mitchell County. So I think Clayton, you will be our liaison to that member of that board, and welcome. I have the opportunity to serve both that board and the Amy board, regional board, and just I think there's great things for the future coming out of that. So thank you for all your support for those two boards. What I wanted to speak on is I'm a new member of the board for the Chamber of Commerce, the Mitchell County Chamber of Commerce. And there are several new members. We've got a couple, well, I think Jeff's been on it for a while. And then we've got our EDC director who is now on it, that board. And we've got some, looks like some young new people into the board. So we're bringing some new blood in. What I wanted to speak on with that board, we are looking at the mission and rethinking the mission, and also, and as part of that, the direction of the Chamber of Commerce, which is more focused on the membership going forward. So look for great things to come out of it. As part of that, we are assigned as board members to a certain number of us are assigned to be at meetings now. I am here in the official capacity as a member of that board, but as you know, I won't be here anyway. But also, we will be interfacing with the town councils and other government entities in the county to get more connected with the government governing bodies in our county. And if you guys have any comment,
Well, I'm not a voting member on the chamber, but I think it's a good idea. We need to all work together and be at one instead of being divided.
we did do a retreat this year and brought everyone in and spent a a half a day Saturday going through, looking at our direction, looking at our focus, so. Look for better things to come out as we focus on membership, focus on serving the whole county.
So Steve, random question, but, and you may not know this, and if any of your others, if you know this. How many members does the chamber have off the top of your head? Would you have any idea?
I don't have that information right now.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm an invited member along with First on Main Street.
Yeah, so.
You're talking about paying members?
Oh,
I am now on the finance committee because they formed subcommittees, so that's gonna be my first question. How many members do you have? What are your membership dues? How do they vary? And then, after looking at that, we'll compare revenues and expenses.
So, and I guess I have one more question for you guys to take back to your next meeting. What are the perks of being a chamber member? What are the perks to being a chamber member? Do you pay your fee, and then what do you get for being that chamber member?
okay, that's something we're redefining in our mission, so. Next meeting, I'll try to bring that information back to you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You have any comments, Jeff? I know you were sitting in on our last meeting.
I think personal opinion involved in the chamber, appears maybe some reorganization, looking at things differently now, and how to accomplish those goals, and then how to recruit new members. And then I think Harley's brought up a question, and it's not the first time it's been asked, and I think this is gonna be something that's gonna have to be hammered in. If you are a chamber member, what does your membership you entitle you to, or what perks is out there? And I
What are
think,
the benefits of?
Exactly.
Why should I put out this money?
so I think, really and truly, my opinion, the chamber board is going to have to ask some tough questions. Not take the recommendations in a negative way, and figure out how to obtain the goals. I think that's going to be very, very key looking at it. Because of some different transitions that have taken place, and I will say that I liked one very good comment you made. The chamber is to serve all of Mitchell County. And I think that's key. So,
They got-
a lot of work in progress.
I think all of the board members right now on board have that focus, which is, I like seeing that. Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. Appreciate your time. Next is the item for discussion. Item A is adoption of our 2023 meeting schedule. Discussion on this one, to my knowledge, we were planning on keeping it as it is now with the first Monday of every month is the meeting, unless it be a holiday, and that would push the date by one day. And then the second meeting of the month on the, third,
The Tuesday following the third Monday.
the Tuesday following the third Monday. And that allows myself to be able to go to the high country meeting in Boone on Monday.
So whenever the high country council meeting falls on a holiday, do they do that, which is,
They have not, no, not yet.
so it's just holiday or not? I'm
Yeah,
just curious.
yeah. So far, it's not been, well, I say that, I don't think any of them we might,
I was looking at January, we get that one. January dates.
you'll follow it next year probably. That might Christmas will be on Monday. It might be, yeah. But this year, maybe not. This year, every week, we didn't, we met every
So did they?
every Monday, we didn't, every meeting this month, they don't. They canceled. Yes, they. Should I, should we, Chris? Yeah, that's why I was like, but you get your gifts. And then they still give out gifts. Oh, they give out gifts, and little. That's one gift. They used to.
How will you work on getting this? Listed out, sir. Yeah,
It's,
I'll give that as.
Clayton was asking, a very good question was around, it confused him before he got on the board, being that it was Tuesday, but, the second meeting of the month was on Tuesday, and the first one was on Monday. And I think we discussed this in the previous meeting, just so the Clayton's information was, as far as other boards that are meeting, that one that worked out for all of our schedules the best. Including four and everybody there, so.
Yes, sir. If we picked a different Tuesday for the first meeting, I'd have to move another meeting, but our current schedule does work well for my schedule. That works for the board.
Gotcha. So any more discussion on that? No more discussion. I'd entertain a motion that we adopt the 2023 meeting schedule consistent with this year's schedule.
So, once we get the meeting dates, could you maybe just put like all of them together somewhere on the website? That way people know, and it's very distinct, they know for the rest of this year or next year.
I'll just talk to David and see how he.
I don't know how he does
Just,
it.
yeah,
That's
I
fine.
did.
And put that way, no confusion on dates. We'll do it.
We'll have to get a motion on that. Yes.
So moved.
And a second. So, all in favor, vote for the usual sign. Motion carries. The next one is the designation of the voting delegate for the annual conference.
And that does not have to be an in-person, you don't have to go in person. I know Vern always did in the past, but it's not required. You can vote without being present.
Are you planning to go to that, Mr. Chairman?
It does not have to be the chairman.
I'll say this, I had never been, in the 4 years that I've been on the board, I've actually never been down there to the convention, so.
Does it move?
I've never seen here.
They didn't have it. Because COVID.
I think they had a COVID.
They had.
That's as far as Mr. Grindstaff's truck.
I think it's the first week of school back.
It's a weird time. But I think personally, I think for myself, I think we need a presence on in that. So, when do we know the date?
I'm not. That's smart. I'm not having it on the desk actually.
It's August, September, I believe.
It's when school's on back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Middle of August.
I think they changed.
They
the
might be.
location.
I think so too.
Yeah, they do. They've done it in Raleigh, I think they've been in Greensboro. No, one year in Wilmington, some years in Wilmington, somewhere, yeah.
If it's not the first. Day of school, I'll go.
So it's what's happening. Okay, so it's not on the first two is it? Let's see.
Date one located, so it's still got.
Still pending information.
We have to appoint that this meeting.
I don't know.
It's mine for receiving it by the association. So I'm not sure when they would need that.
Well, the voting member, so all of us will have the invite to the conference, so everybody can go to the conference. It's really just a designation of someone to
So if,
vote for the board, I guess.
I guess my question, this may not be a question. Say if one of us was selected, could we designate a proxy into the conflict?
I think it's his name is Steve.
Yeah, you don't have to be present to vote either. I don't think, right? That's the, you just,
But
whoever
I
is
think it's
elected.
the name is Steve, I don't think it's the last name.
That's been ours.
But you don't have to turn on the vote. Sure, not.
Mr. Chairman, the date, back here, the date is for the North Carolina NCACC annual conference is August 11th through the 13th at Cabarrus in Cabarrus County at the Mother Speedway.
Is that last year?
22,
22.
23.
You're talking 23, yeah, August 23. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, it is last year.
I was like, wait, I'll take that one. The NCACC conference.
Got the date.
November 16th through 18th.
There you go. Sorry about that.
In Wake County, Marriott Raleigh. South Carolina.
November 16th to 18th.
Voting will take place on Thursday and Friday, the 17th and 18th.
So you said November 16th and 18th of 23.
Oh, sorry, I told you fifth, it says 2022, so I don't know if they've sent, I don't think they have the information yet. They must not have sent it for the new year, sorry.
I moved that we, on our chair, is that vote delegate.
Let's see if they will-
You'll have to be present.
No, you can vote, be there,
One or several of us can attend, and it'd be great.
and you can appoint an alternate, if, like, go ahead and appoint an alternate in case you can't be there.
Sure.
Okay.
Here it is.
All that.
All that form of motion.
Yeah, second that.
We got a motion, for me to be the delegate, and Brandon to be my, alternate. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, vote with use the sign. Motion carries. I think what we should all do is actually try to plan and go. As we do, as the entire go,
I agree.
that would probably be a lot more fun.
I agree with this.
Thinking outside the box here, that might be the best thing to do.
I'll try to, if it's not the first week of school, I'll go. It's hard for me to take off. I'll be there the first one.
Bert always said he really enjoyed it, made a lot of, made a lot of. Next item on the agenda this evening, 12C, is lottery funds distribution request for consideration education.
Yes, Mavis probably can speak to that, but it's basically us just kind of working with the build process and scheduled bills coming through the architect and Seymour.
And then, right, it's just one architect, it's their invoice of 376, 18,962. Yeah, but that really one invoice.
So that comes out of the board.
And per our meeting that I think Harley and Steve, I think Mavis, myself, this is, a lot of these are check mark things as far as just making our budgets move smoothly and our build move without any faults. These are predetermined points along the construction process, so they're scheduled. So they're not a new, not new deals, they are scheduled as part of the process, just FYI.
And from here on out, you probably have one of these a month.
Yeah.
If you don't,
That's-
then
that's
it's
the way I-
stalled out, yeah, right. I'm gonna
So
do it.
if we don't do something that's not something.
Something stalled if we don't have one, because you should really have one every month. If it's based on schedule.
Chairman, I vote to approve the distribution of this reward for special contribution.
We got a motion on the floor to approve the distribution request. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, vote with the usual sign. Motion carries.
And Steve, I'll follow up on what, just 1 second on what Alan said. What we're trying to do is agree to, like, you'll sign that tonight with Taylor. I'll send it back to Beth tomorrow at the school. She submits that into the lottery in Raleigh. They transfer the money, and what we were hoping to do is get this seamless to where if it's in Raleigh before the 25th of the month, fine.
then they will transfer the money usually within a day or two of the 25th. So therefore, I get the notice that the money's been transferred. I will then write a check from their lottery account, send to Beth so she can pay the total. We're trying to get this done within the 30-day to 45-day tops window. So I think once we get this schedule flowing, we will, so it's gonna flow quickly. So the goal will be to get this like on the first meeting of the month. We'll get everything signed, get into Raleigh. They'll get their money before the end of the month so they can take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of get a,
Yeah, we're gonna try to get a flow going and get it turned around just as quickly as we can. Okay,
makes sense. I think that'll be good for.
they have a really die-hard set deadline. It has to be in Raleigh by the 25th for them to get their money that month. They only do lottery transfers one time a month in Raleigh, so we're trying to get on that schedule.
Mr. Chairman, the contracts you'll consider later in this meeting to amend do add the requirement that the architect and the contract or the construction manager submit their invoices on or about the first of each month. So that puts them on the same schedule so that we can keep this deadline. The requirement is there's a statutory issue with if we run past the deadline, we're required to pay interest to the contractor. And given the amounts of what these bills will be, that interest will be. We're trying to do structure things so that we're not paying any interest we don't have to.
Let you guys fulfill that. I agree. We don't want to get into that situation. Item number 12D is the school board member pay discussion. And so for 12D, please consider making the following amendments to the next school board pay discussion. So currently, the Mitchell County School Board voted in their November meeting to request authorization from the Mitchell County Commission Board to adjust school board member pay closer to the averages of surrounding counties. General Statute 115C-38 states that the tax levying authority for the local school administrative unit to approve the compensation for school board members. Mitchell County School Board has requested a $50 per month increase for board members and $100 per month increase for the board chair. The new rates will be $350 a month for board members and $400 a month for the board chair. These rates fall in line with the surrounding counties and the averages for Western North Carolina. It's further understood that there is sufficient money in the school's budget to cover this increase.
Mr. Chairman, I believe prior to this meeting, you did mention to me of a family member who would be affected by a motion before the board and whether it be appropriate to recuse yourself. I looked into that. I believe it would be appropriate to recuse yourself from this vote. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I will do that. So as my sister just got elected to the school board, I will recuse myself from this vote.
And just to clarify, that was the school board going out, not the new board members.
Yes,
They've not-
yes,
okay.
this would be the new, the ones taking office and also the remaining ones on office going forward can be separate on. What we need there for this is a motion.
Essentially, we're just giving the school board.
You're giving them permission. And without our authority to give them permission, if I understand it, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, if we have to give permission to do that. The bottom sentence states that there is sufficient money in this year's school budget to cover this increase. I'd also like to point out that it was the old Board of Education that made this motion and voted on this motion for this pay increase. The new board's not been sworn in yet. So if there's any discussion out in the public about the new board getting elected and automatically giving them a pay increase, themselves a pay increase. I want to clarify that that is not what has happened here. The old board on their way out, two members that went out and the members that stayed made this recommendation.
So that's a good point, and I believe, don't hold me to the date, but I believe they said this would be the first raise since 2000. I believe. Don't hold me to that date, but it's been a pretty good while back, so.
Funding comes out of their source, we have the fund. I moved that real loud. Per general statute 11.5, C-38, I move that we approve the request of the Mitchell County School Board to increase the pay of the full board members, briefly per month, from board share to 400 per month.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, vote the usual sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda this evening is 12E, School Board MOA amendments and contracts. I believe Mr. County Manager for that.
So on the school board MOA amendments and the contracts, right now with our attorney, the two attorneys for the school and Mitchell County are still drafting that MOA and have a few more specifics to iron out. So that part, I would like to see a motion come forward for that to be tabled, pending the attorneys coming together with wording on that that's sufficient.
So like that's up my alley, and I'll move the table.
Second on that,
Second.
all in favor, vote by usual sign.
All right, the second part of this one, nobody the third part, is contracts. So in this agenda packet, there were two contracts that were joining us into the contracts, into the build process with Cove Architecture and Benoit as the CMAR. And those two contracts have been given due diligence by our county attorney and are essential for us to sign and be a part of the school build and to move it along. So we'll need a motion on the table made to have the contracts signed.
Mr. Chairman, by way of some additional background, when the original contracts were signed by a previous board, it was for a different piece of property where the school was proposed to be built. These amendments update the location of the piece of property, and also, even if there's a transfer of the property later, it would retain the right of the county as an owner to receive reports as often as monthly, if you so desire, from the architect. So there are a number of protections that allow the commissioners to hear directly from those involved in the building of the school, so that you're getting firsthand information, and these amendments would reflect your right to continue to be involved in that and receive that information, but also update the property as to the new build and also the time frame, and also addresses the change we discussed as to the invoice. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice today. I think I've talked too much.
No, thank you for bringing that up. That's a very good point. So.
We need maybe a motion to sign those contracts and approve.
You make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, vote the usual sign. Motion carries.
All right, final thing on this item E is the survey of Bowman. So part of the MOA that's required us to wait is that the middle school property, which is currently owned by the county, will be deeded to the school system in exchange on the completion of the build for Bowman Middle School. The the school board would like to retain the school bus garage because it is essential to them providing services. But we would get all other grounds. In order for the MOA to go through and be clean, we need specific boundaries. And so in our meeting, the school board agreed to survey out the bus garage and pay for that portion of the survey. And the county agreed to put specific boundaries around the Bowman grounds that we will be getting. Title searches have been completed with attorney Lloyd Heiss on that. So what I need is the ability to move forward with the survey and start that so we can add it to the MOA and make that kind of ironclad. So I would need a motion to move forward with a survey of Bowman.
Who is be selecting the surveyor? Who is responsible for that school?
I understand I will be. I've been talking to the surveyor and I think they've been cool with that, so.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, vote the usual sign. Motion carries. Thank you, County Manager. I forgot about that meeting, but there's a lot that come out of that meeting. Next one on the list is item number 12F, new health fees for Mason Garden.
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be on your agenda and to talk tonight. So thank you. My name is Mason Gardner. I'm the interim health director at Toledo Health District. The district has proposed some new fees to the board, and the board has accepted those fees. And the next step to that is to let our county partners know and the new fees, what they are. We have two sets. One is an engineered option permit fee, and that is limited by general statute. We can only charge up to 30% of a septic permit should someone choose to go the engineered option route. For rural context, we have very few of those in the county. I think there's maybe 20 in Avery and probably less than 5 here in Michigan that have chosen to do that. If we had like 1,000 square foot home, we would typically charge 36 a square foot, so the septic permit fee would be $300. But if they decide to bypass the health department and we chose to update this fee, we could charge $90 for the paperwork that we did to file it and one site visit. So that's essentially what we're asking to do for the engineered option project. We're also asking for an annual parlor fee, $700 for a tattoo parlor, and an annual $500 fee for the tattoo artists themselves. And we're asking that those fees go into effect February 1st, 2003.
I'm sorry, Mason, did you say 700 for the parlor fee and 500 for the artist?
Yes, both annual, correct. And we'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
What were they previously?
The tattoo fees. They are $200 for an artist and $200 for a parlor.
How many tattoo parlors do we have?
You have 3 in Mitchell County. You have Llama Inc., Private Eyes, which is permanent makeup, and you have No Regrets. I thought it was No Regrets, and I thought it was misspelling, but it's No Regrets.
That's good.
So the increases on the septic and the,
On the tattoo, we currently do not have an engineered option permit fee, so we couldn't charge for those fees. We would like to charge it that in our way.
is the engineered option, is that the like the field, the school used to have one, I think. It's like gravel and.
Well, it's for any on-site waste system, so usually the health department is the cheapest option to get those approvals. Sometimes developers or engineers prefer to bypass this, which is perfectly fine. And this just takes the fun out of it. And they're just saying this will work. They assume all responsibility for the septic system, unlike current wastewater permits that we write. Local district will assume that responsibility.
Yes, very much so, especially the fees for the tattoo parlors, like Mason said. We didn't have any way of charging if a homeowner or the developer decided they wanted to use outside contractors. And a good example of this, Brandon, it's not going to be in Mitchell County, but Avery County, Eagles Nest is one that I will use an example where a lot of building was going on very fast. Well, there was no way environmental health could get out and inspect all these sites and get everything permitted as quick as these guys were wanting it permitted. So the individual or the building contractor would hire a private company that comes in, and the private company lays everything out. You correct me if I screw up here, Mason, okay? They lay everything out. They assume all liability. So the health district or the Avery County Health Department would be the go-through person that would do the paperwork, or the paperwork would come back to that office showing the number of square footage of where the septic system was at and basically sign off on it. And this allows the agency to collect some money if they choose to bypass.
Gotcha.
And that's
And
what
it costs a lot more, probably, Mason, would you say 3 to 5 times as much to go with an outside agency versus going through the health department? Or would it be 10
probably
times?
10 times, probably 10 times. And the ones that we have, predominantly.
Yeah. So I would recommend being on the representative of the Toe River Health Board in Mitchell County that we pass these utilities.
You put that on motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll second. All in favor, vote for using some. Motion carried. Now for Gertz.
Thank you.
Don't let off just yet now.
All right.
I'm gonna brag on you. Mason Gardner, our new interim health director, he's been employed as an environmental health specialist for,
Almost 4 years.
so, we've had transition take place over the past few months from, the health district. And you've been there 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
1 month and 5 days.
Okay, basically 5 weeks. The amount of work that he's put out and the new ideas and transition and the thought process is totally amazing for what he's done. So he is doing an excellent job. He's not only assuming the responsibilities for the health director, he's also working in the field with food and lodging and wellness sector that he's like at this site, this site, this site. So you may see him in the office in the morning, you may see him in a pair of nutty boots in the afternoon or in a restaurant doing inspection. So he's wearing 2 hats right now. So I just wanted you guys to get to see the face. I've talked to Mason just a little bit. You know, he's willing to come and give us a report every quarter or twice a year on what's going on with the health district. Some numbers of how things are looking and the changes that have taken place. And so very positive turnaround. And I'll let the county manager, because he's been in on these meeting as a non-voting member, but we want him there.
Yeah, Mason's stepped in. Mason's met with me and, you know, just customizing his approach, asking smart questions. Looking for areas where we have the ability to work together to make things more seamless. I've noticed very good approach in such a short time. I'll have to agree with Jeff. He's definitely worth bragging on.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
I'm enjoying the job. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. I wore my paddle out. It's about ten, somebody's gonna have to, you done good, you have to have a paddle there, start struggling. Next item on the list tonight is the county manager talking a little bit about the county signage.
Yeah, so, our last meeting, one of the things I was tasked with was to catch us up on the signage, stuff that we got going on as far as welcome to Mitchell County signs. So I did a lot of research. Number one, talked to Hitman Signs. And you all should have gotten some options in signs for a entry into the courthouse complex and our administrative offices. And so, part of that design process is letting the decision makers take a look at it and give us the idea of which sign they might want for each. So if you'll look at the administrative offices, and maybe we'll make a motion to move forward, or you might not even have to do that. If I see you're in a majority agreement, I can tell Chase to move forward on the design, and we can start that process. So
Now, I did ask Alan if each of these are removable, because I see some potential issues with the sheriff's office being labeled, since they're gonna be moving soon, but he said that each one of those.
So you can swap.
yeah, so those tiles are removable on these. So if we have.
What are they made out of?
I think they're made out of the same composite material that the ones are on the Welcome to Mitchell County outlets on the three main arteries coming in on the south side of the county. I want to say they're composite or they're wood overlaid with a rubberized. And I'll spec that out with Chase. I had a conversation months ago about what that looked like, but I want to say it's composite or a long lasting, really thick paint job. Weather able to withstand the weather.
6x6 posts.
Yes,
The light.
6x6 drilled. In case they get hit by a car, they got to drill a hole for them, but that's 6x6. Unless they're certain set up off the road. So there'll be some-
Basically what we've got.
Yeah.
In the Welcome to Mitchell County.
Yeah. And so, yeah, just getting some input on that, and I'll tell Chase to move forward with design. I know Harley.
I had lots of input. I know that one thing that Vern has asked in the past, and he did ask for me to ask, will there be lighting?
So if we are near electricity, there'll be lighting. Now, Matt did some research on solar lighting.
Just one quote.
And yeah, one quote, what was that number you was getting?
$3K.
$3,000 to set it up for solar lighting.
All the time.
That's probably how many. Yeah, what's the lifespan?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good, like you say, you only change that battery every 5 years or something.
It's about.
You're gonna pay the light bill every month.
Yeah, that's it shocked me though. It's from atomic solar there in Burnsville. That's always one what happens.
We do that, while we're discussing lighting, Harley. Two things. Our nice signs we've already got put up. Personally, I'd like to see those lit. I know prior to there was conversation about landscaping around those signs with maybe cut place block or a nice little rock wall design with a nice low planting in front of those. I think we had a conversation, we burned an idea about hitting EDC up before, maybe that cost.
We'll go back to them next month.
But I'm on that board.
I have some play, yeah. So, yeah, on these Mitchell County admin signs, the good thing about them being on our property is we'll have a little bit more leeway, but we do have to get them out of the, a certain distance from the road because in the event the car hits them, there might be something about the wall, so we'll have to check DOT if we're doing anything other than the posts that are collapsible, so we make sure that we're covered there, but
Out of the three, we have to pick one of these three out of the.
I would love for you all to, and then I can start the process going. If y'all can do, that's kind of what I put them in the agenda packet. Now Harley had marked some stuff up. So y'all might want to say, we'll select option A with Harley's markups, because some of the naming and stuff might not be the same.
Is there any kind of legal requirement? She's got a certain type of lighting, room care, and a sign.
An alternate informational sign, unless the town of Bakersville has lighting regulations.
Yeah, we're not.
So I don't think we're regarding.
Spell that one, abbreviate.
Change the word. What do you like about, one thing that bothers me, Harley?
Yeah.
Is child.
Well, and they, I wrote road view on there. That make it, is it road view?
Yeah, right, it says room view.
DFS should be social services, not DFS.
That's what I wrote on there too.
Okay, good.
And then I take out the repetitiveness of where it says courthouse, because it says Mitchell County Courthouse, take that out.
And we might need to check the town of Bakersville, to make sure they do not have a sign ordinance, for this, or said that might be a, check one.
I hate for you to spend the money on a very nice looking sign only to be called a kid.
We'll take that as. So, you know. So A is the one you like, Carl, the best out of those.
I didn't
think we
want-
part of that. This one here.
Courthouse administrator.
That was the second read it.
Yeah, that's in the middle of the plan.
Yeah.
The name is kind of-
The A option. Which one of the signs you guys like the best?
I was A or B. I know this burn and B. I think one we like that.
That's what Carly said she didn't like out.
What doesn't make sense is on this one. It's above it. So it's like this. It's above it. So I don't know why they-
It's just the replacement of Mitchell County. Yeah. You see that earlier, like B on this one's actually got it above it. Weird, like,
On the one printed out.
oh, sorry, that's the,
But see, it's on this one here. This one's above.
oh, sorry, so I was looking at the other bit.
Somewhere like 4 foot wide, maybe somewhere around the same size as the ones we see. That's what I was understanding.
As long as they're able to do it.
Yeah.
that would not be
Yeah.
concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I made a specification on in the original. They gotta have nameplates. So
Yeah.
and this can be referred to.
Rebuilds. You guys got a city that's. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I definitely like the Mitchell County.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do too. Versus yeah, some care. I think it's just what we do, make it warm. But this looks like it looks like a little. Three skyscrapers. Three many skyscrapers coming out of the road here. Well, we got a good voice right there. Yeah. We know what, mate. You know, somebody coming in, don't know what. You know, that's a diamond about that shit. Yeah.
Or animal.
Or an animal, or a gym. Let's say a gym, because it's a gym.
Minerals.
I like option A with always changes.
I like option A because of the Mitchell County above.
And I remember Vern, when I sent this out to him, since I sent it out, maybe even Vern like that as well.
I think we got a consensus on A. Change the gym.
All right,
You
so,
would-
Well, I'd even rather it look like that or it be taken completely out. That's that one, I just don't.
Take out the gyms, leave the road in. So, what do you think?
That would look better. Well, I think, I have no problem with them designing a gym that would fit in there, that would go along with the concept we're trying to promote here. But if I had to choose this, leave it or take it, I'd say take it, leave it, throw it in, I'm sorry.
Kind of distracting, the more things you put on there, it just gets more distracting.
So we like A, we like Harley's changes on the wording. And then maybe if we can ask Alan about the gym, if there's either get rid of it or give us a different option to.
Okay,
that doesn't-
so we'll do A, and then I'll have him render you all up something with maybe a little lower key gems or no gem in it. And we'll also put Harley's correction.
Now, let me ask you this, did he copy? Got Mitchell County above, can he copy the Mount some of the rhododendrons? Here,
Oh, I know he could. He could make something similar without copying it, yeah. Or, no copyright going there.
well, I mean, somebody had to do that for us.
I can take a picture of that and let him render that and put it up there or something.
Probably did that one, I'm trying to think who did that one.
Or, you know, if you copied that and you had your mountains, move the rhododendron over to the left side, move the gem over to the right side.
And I will say this, from a marketing standpoint, if you have some consistency in the brand,
Yeah,
that would really be cool if we could pull that into all our signs and just straight out. So let me work on that. Y'all have given me
Y'all like
everything I need. Don't know. I think it's,
with the rhododendron on one side, the gem, the gem that's at the bottom on the other side, after the peak.
I think you got some leads there and you expect some.
I'm glad this board's not opinionated, you know.
I like that. Hey, y'all are, you're the will of the people, you know, hey. We'll go with, the next part of this sign stuff is I talked to DOT. And they gave us on the border edge of the county. Now, the last talk we had, we were talking about wayfinding signs as we come into Mitchell County on the road, on Poplar, on Iron Mountain. So I have these green colored signs that are standard across the state that DOT does, and they put up. So these signs will have welcome to Mitchell County. If we needed to have a slogan that's for Mitchell County, we could put that under it. Y'all can kind of see how that does. Also, though, if we're getting them and doing them around our county edges, that would allow us to take our other gut signs by Pittman and move them down where they might not get vandalized or stolen quite as easy. And so we'd have a green one when you hit the border, and then a really pretty one, nice one.
Hopefully they're out of spray paint by the time.
Yeah, by the time they get there, or maybe if they're in somebody's near their window, they will ease up on it. So that's a thought, but now they also do these, and when we do them, we might do them all at once. They do the city. So I could envision welcome to Bakersville, gateway to the road, welcome to Spruce Pine, the mineral city, and have the green sign going. So I would say that might be an EDC thing to do that, to say, because we're starting to brand and wayfind here a little better.
So we're gonna hit ADC, and then we'll put that in traffic.
He's here.
We got most of you in here, we're gonna choke y'all at one.
Yeah, the DOT will do these, at cost.
I like it, yeah, they look clean and.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Everybody expects them.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing. So I'll move forward with getting us a price if we spec out, if y'all want a slogan, or if you don't want a slogan, I'm gonna do welcome to Mitchell County. Or if y'all find out we want to put some type of name, Steve Pitt. Whatever. So anyways, that's something I'll move forward on as well. You can make. So I guess that's probably covering this without a vote on here.
Okay, sounds good. Any more discussions on the signage? If not, we'll-
I haven't got, he hasn't given me a price on them yet because they're at cost. And then I did ask him that. He said, well, there's so many different specifications in them. So I will find that out. But I think they're really competitively priced. I think it's what DOT is, what's costing them and their manpower to set the sign. So that's a turnkey job on the green one.
Can we, do you got the marching orders there?
Yes, I think I'm cleared. I will be glad to move forward on that.
All right. No other discussion, we'll move on to item 12H, the late application for property tax relief pending approval. Don't see Blair, Blair's sick today.
They've just been attached, all of them that Stacy sent, she said they need the qualifications.
So maybe we just need to vote on that.
You have to approve him
Or just provided.
Yes, sir. I have provided the chairman with, suggested budget.
Thank you, Alice. Appreciate this.
Yes, sir.
I would, I'll make a motion, the board of commissioners find that good cause exists for the late filing of the applications for property tax relief. And furthermore, move that the board of commissioners approve the applications for property tax relief set forth in their agenda packet. Do I have a second for that? Second. All in favor, vote the usual sign.
Good stuff. Can I have another discussion?
Yes, sir.
When are we going to stop accepting?
I think it was.
So this is the last.
That's my only question.
I think we had a motion and a second, all in favor, vote the usual sign. Motion carries. Thank you for it. Item number 12I, we replaced with the surplus of law enforcement equipment.
Yeah, I'll speak to that one. So we have a couple things in there when we do construction on the new law enforcement center at the Quality Plus Apparel building that was just purchased. And there will be about 2, maybe 3 gas, blower style heaters for big areas that, could be useful. And we don't want those to get taken during the construction process. We can either give those away or sell those or use them. If, for example, 3 years from now, we can store some and use them at Bowman. A couple of them are new, one's a little older. I know I was wanting to surplus those. It could be Bakersville Fire Department might want one of them. So I need to surplus those, and then the blower, they have a steam blower in there. And I think I can get a buyer for that. Wes had led me to a buyer in South Carolina, and I'm in talks with that person and hope to get some money on that. So, and that's something we can't use. So if y'all can surplus those for me, it'll at least give us options. I won't do nothing without your permission, but I want to surplus them first anyway.
Thinking ahead, on the other side where the sheriff's office will be.
So there's 4 of those blower systems
Okay.
in the building. So I thought, one of them will be on that side.
Okay.
But I wouldn't mind to put the other one in there. So I want 2 of them for the existing building. So that's going to leave 2 that we might surplus. There's 4 total in that building. I just need a motion to surplus the extra heater and, well, let's get it specific. I would need a motion to surplus 2 heaters, 2 gas heaters, and the boiler at the law enforcement center. And let's do it this way. I want to surplus all 4 of them. Some may stay in there, but that'll give us the ability to do what we need to.
Do I have a motion to surplus the identified equipment, the 4 pieces of equipment? So moved. Second. All in favor, vote the usual sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the boardroom remodel project.
Okay, so down at the EDC boardroom, we have a kind of a wall up in the middle of everything. The room is kind of in disrepair, and picture this, we're bringing in someone that's thinking about investing in Mitchell County. This is not really putting anything comparable to other places in the state. I would like to put a wall across the boardroom backside, a little further than that short wall, take it out. And that would enable us to have some storage and an extra office, maybe 2 extra offices, and a greeting area down by that door for one entryway. So security is a thing I have in mind. This would be a one-way only out exit. That will be where we have everybody. We would have a greeter, a window, 2 offices, storage, and an updated EDC boardroom. And I think I can do that with a lot of help from maintenance, so it won't cost the county very much money. If I can sell this blower for a good price, I think we can go a pretty decent way on it, but there might be a little bit of money along the way that's needed or some fundraising, but I feel like we can really set this up and give it a pretty face. So I need y'all's approval to move forward with leveraging our resources to do a remodel project, maybe starting in January.
I'm comfortable with that, but, I think I'd like to kind of have a rough idea of what.
Can get you a floor plan and the rough cost. I'm wanting to say 6,000-ish to do the rough end part, because I'm using the labor of maintenance.
Okay.
But now if we do new floors, so see, we got about 2 or 3 ways to go at it. If I do it in phased construction, it's gonna be about $6,000 to get the wall up. Danny's electrician will do the electrical on it. We'll have to buy a door, a sliding window, and possibly 2 doors for an office. Right now, at my Lowe's pricing, that's running me about 6,000, because I'm using labor. Now, that's my guessing. But hey, I was raised by parents that built about everything, so I think I'm close.
I'd say I'd put pretty good money on that price. One question, Alan, I think it's a really good idea. And I think that tonight is really what reminded me of it when Tracy was saying that she, was expecting, she thought we were gonna have some kind of audio visual, equipment set up for, presentation or whatnot. I know in the past we've used that down there. We've just, projected up onto it. Is it worth looking into trying? I mean, I don't know if it's for this trip, but, trying to get us a better. And I know this room is typically our board meeting room, so I don't know. I think we probably need to think about getting some type of presentation, so people, if they do have a presentation, they can bring it and plug it up and we can put it up there. But that's just my thought.
I would like to make that kind of fixed up to where if we wanted to morph it or do just a couple little adjustments, we could set that up as a future boardroom.
We do have a cart.
We do have TV on cart, and if I know we have a presentation that needs that, I can always help get that set up. It is a little clunky in here because it sets out so far against that wall. In the new boardroom, I would envision a flat panel TV on 2 of the walls, something down the style of what High Country has, but maybe it's shrunk up to our size. I would like the technology, the furniture. So eventually we'd go in phases, or maybe we would get donations. I could see some folks donating on it. And we could get EDC up. No, just joking. We could get him along. Just for your budget.
Just for clarification, we're talking about modeling the EDC board.
That's correct.
Boardroom.
EDC
With
boardroom.
flexibility that we can use it as needed. And it makes a lot of county manager's vision. County manager has been very frugal with county funds and up to this point, and I support his vision. It makes sense to me that if we're going to spend money on signage and marketing the county, that when we bring in architects, engineers, investors, that we're bringing into a room that facilitates better negotiations for us. I move that we allow you to move forward with costs not to exceed $10,000 without authorization.
That's a motion.
That's a motion.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, vote you the sign off.
Appreciate that, y'all.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Next, on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Vote. Second. All in favor, vote you the sign. Motion carries. Next item is the finance officer's report.
I just have a couple updates. I'm bringing you up to date. My voice is not very good either today, so. Last month, I talked, or last meeting, we talked about the change in insurance bonding for finance directors, and I told you mine was in underwriting, and it comes effective January the 1st. Mine did come out of underwriting. It has been approved, so we're good to go there. I do not know how much more it's gonna cost. They've not sent any type of invoice on that, but at least mine's done, so I'm not gonna be in that group with everybody at the last minute. That's been taken care of. We also got the deposit from the state for the rec project. So that 2 million has been deposited into the rec center account. So that money is here. That took a little bit longer than we thought it was going to take to get, but we did get that one finished. And it's now available. We got another small deposit from the opioid funding. If you remember back in the summer when we were supposed to get the second allotment, it all did not come in. So apparently, as insurance companies are paying these, they're coming in a little bit differently than what the original projection was. We got another little pot of money, so now we're up to about $245,000 in that opioid account. So
Mavis, do we know what the status of the study?
I do not. The last time I spoke with Linda, she's been working with that agency, the one that did Nancy Kim's, and the lady had not given her a time frame back. I did hear, I think they just finished Yancey County, so maybe they will now open up and be willing to work on hours.
Yeah, I've got some questions regarding those with some of our funds. Steve, just for clarification, for those that might be listening, the stipulation of that settlement is we can't spend any of that money until we have completed the study.
We have to,
Thank you.
we have to have and file a plan based on that study before we can spend any money. So we're kind of in a holding pattern right now.
All right, thank you.
And where we're at right now, as far as the finance office, we're getting ready and started working on getting ready to close out our fiscal year. Remember, we have 2 years we close out. We have budget year, which ends July 30th. We have fiscal year, which is going to end December 31st. So actually today, I ordered 1099s, W-2s, and so that's where our office is. We're getting ready to close out our fiscal year. So, anybody have any other questions? Thank you.
Chad,
I know I've talked a lot, but I'm gonna update everybody. The major one, Steve, is the hole above the library in Maple is now fixed. So they're gonna do a little more beautification on it, but it is fixed. So that was the main news right there. DOT engineer, one thing y'all asked me to work on was Highway 261 Pumpkin Patch Road guardrails. Spoke with the DOT engineer about that, and another issue, which I'll talk in a minute. The guardrails priority is by the number of wrecks and things reported to DOT on data. So they prioritize based on what they're getting with their data back. And he told me, he said, well, that's not to say you all aren't getting a lot of wrecks up there and somebody's just towing them before, anything can get reported, and I've seen that a time or two. So I'm going to go through our high country advocate, David Graham, our rural transportation person. And I already have, and he's sent that to our region to get that looked at. So I'm doing my due diligence there. And another thing is the vehicles that are coming from the Amazon place on Alta Pass. There's been some concern about the speed limit over there. Another one that, when I was talking to the engineer, he said they'll have to do some demographics and some data points before they look, they look into that. It's another one going through the rural transportation that we have, and I know Harley will be on that board as well. So also, y'all asked me about the annex building, getting some quotes for windows. So we're Danny's working on that. Danny's supposed to be meeting with some contractors. He has some on the list, maybe even this week. We haven't got any numbers yet on that, but that is in process. I want y'all to think about snow removal. If we have a light winter, it might be like last year. We'll only be spending about $4,200 on snow removal. If we have a heavy bad winter, then we do need to have that on our radar because, you know, one of these winters, we're gonna have a bad one. The group we got are doing a great job. They've been on it. Our maintenance folks have been on it. If we have a bad winter, we're gonna have to look at equipment come budget time, but let's keep that on the radar. If we have light winters like we have been, it might be that we can kick that can down the road some, but that's something to think about. Update on rec center or recreational center in Bakersfield. So we have, you know, about $3 million that is set aside on that field right now. And we are moving still forward with site selection. There's a few more things before we get this commission board for you all to start giving us some feedback on what you all want to do. So we're doing our due diligence on site selection. We've got 2 sites and then a potential 3rd site. We'll see if that pans out. On the law enforcement center, we are in final design phase around Thanksgiving week. I met with Mosley, as did the sheriff, and a couple of commissioners dropped through on that as well. And we finally got a design. The sheriff likes it. The design had a lot of input from the sheriff's staff as well, a lot of input, and some of the staff that I've shown that plan to really like it. So there's a lot of enthusiasm about that deal. I think they've bought in, and I think they're gonna like that. I think it's gonna meet y'all's needs, Jesse. So I'm looking forward to seeing that progress. It's progressing in an as expected manner. We're in design phase for probably another few months as they start specking in. And now that they got a plan, they're gonna really spec it out. So that's everything on my side.
Appreciate that. I don't think you got any need for a closed session this evening. One thing I'll say, I was gonna mention to the board, make sure you guys are good with that. I wasn't planning on doing the second meeting this month. That comes in line with our Christmas time here, so if you guys are good with that, or the staff, Al, the county manager's board, you guys, Taylor, I think we'll move to cancel that second meeting this month and be ready for January. Sounds good. And Jackson for that. Good deal. Thank you very much. Board comments, Commissioner Fitton.
No comment.
Commissioner Masters.
I did have 2 comments. At our last meeting, I brought to the board's attention that there was 10 firefighters that had done some training and were then told they would not be compensated. Since that meeting, I've attended the fire association meeting, and I have also spoke to 2 of the individuals that work through Mainland. And I believe last Wednesday, the 10 individuals that had taken the class and completed it and done the test and passed, they didn't receive 500, but they did receive 250. So they were appreciative of that. So I wanted to update the board on that. And then I just want to give a brief update on the TTA. I think we're supposed to start doing quarterly updates to the board. So we'll start that next year. But as of right now, we're meeting every 2 weeks. And so for the first 6 months of next year, we will be meeting every 2 weeks. So
I can tell you, I can't imagine what it's like to start something from the ground up and have to put that together. So thank you for all your work on that. I know you're doing a great job with it. Thank you for doing it, because can't imagine what that's like. So appreciate
it should be
that.
ready to pass off. So if somebody line out this time next year, somebody will be taking it over. Yeah.
I don't know.
Usually we can do a
Well,
little bit of
I
that.
think you're going to stay with. Don't move on and transition.
That's what I'm going to say. That's the subject matter expert.
I'm gonna let you borrow my paddle.
This power of gold, if I paddle go around, get a little bit, then.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Harding, any full comment? Good meeting, welcome. Roberts to your first meeting. This one went very smoothly. It was long, but very smoothly. Look forward to serving you. Appreciate it.
Yes, it's my turn.
Commissioner Roberts?
I'd just like to say, first meeting's been eye-opening for sure. And, I'm excited to hit the ground running. I really do appreciate you all welcoming me in. And I want to say that I appreciate the school, Kevin, as well. I'm excited about it.
We're glad to have you. It's a big undertaking. It's pretty thankless, but you know you're doing the right thing and doing a good job. And keep on keeping on there. I just got a few comments. I wanted to welcome you, Clayton. Nobody, you win a lot of prizes in this job, but it takes a lot to put your name on a ballot, and it takes even more to get elected to the work that comes at you and trying to meet the needs of all the folks in the county. We're here to help you if you've got questions. Just like you 4 years ago, I didn't know anything when it came to county government, and luckily we've got a great support staff here and a great board of commissioners that's committed to doing what's best for Mitchell County, and that feels good to be on a board like that, because it's not always that way. So we welcome you. Next thing I'd like to do tonight, this past week we had the community had a tragedy. We had one of our former commissioners, Mr. Keith Masters, passed away. I know a lot of people in the county know Keith, a very outspoken fella, very, very personable. My heart breaks for Carol and Jason and the other two boys. I don't know them as good. Jason I graduated with, so I know him really well. Carol's my biology teacher, so if you ever had biology in Mitchell County, you learned a lot from old Carol. And Leland, her brother, I know they're all hurt right now. So I wish sending my prayers, and I know this board feels for them. We've got a statement we prepared here from the board, and I'm going to read that. Then I'll give you a quote that Keith always. I've known Keith a long time, and I always like to call Keith just to get his opinion on stuff. And I'll share a little quote that he gave me one time with you guys. A statement in honor and life and service of Keith Masters. On behalf of Mitchell County Board of Commissioners, I would like to extend our deepest sympathies and prayers to the family of Keith Masters. He served our county in many ways during his life. We really especially appreciate his prior service as a Mitchell County Commissioner. Keith's love for Mitchell County and hard work is a testament to his character and rich heritage. Keith Masters will be greatly missed. And I'll share a little something. When I first got into politics, I like to, I've got certain people in the community I call on and not, make sure I'm trying to do what's right and do different things. And Keith give me a quote, and to this day, I had never forgot it. And it was on the issue I was trying to figure out. I really liked, I won't talk about the issue, but I really thought there was a lot of good on this side of this issue. But everything in my body told me that this was the right way to go. Keith gave me a quote that I'll never forget. And he said, Steve, you can't ride two horses with one ass. It's a very good statement. I'm going to pick one on what that's why. Yes, sir. So anyway, we miss Keith, and prayers for his family. I think that's all I've got. Have a motion for adjournment. So vote. Second. Let's go back.